Elon Musk's estranged daughter, Vivian Wilson, is embracing life on her own terms, with a radiant spirit and bold confidence that speaks volumes. Despite her father's controversial and often hurtful remarks, Vivian has emerged not just as a survivor but as someone thriving unapologetically in her truth. The world caught a glimpse of this powerful transformation when she stepped into the limelight during the RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars party held at Gatineau in New York City. The evening was charged with energy, celebration, and vibrant queer culture. And Vivian stood out not for her surname, but for her sheer authenticity. She danced like the world wasn't watching, let loose with abandon, and wore her identity like a crown, whipping her hair and owning the floor like it was a runway. At Paris Fashion Week, she captivated those around her. Cameras flashed. The crowd roared with encouragement. And in that moment, Vivian wasn't just someone's daughter. She was a symbol of resistance, of joy, and of personal freedom. It was more than just dancing. It was a statement. Every movement she made seemed to echo a silent but strong defiance against the identity she was expected to conform to. It was her own form of protest, a celebration of the self that her father had attempted to discredit. The cheers from the partygoers weren't just for her moves. They were for her courage, her spirit, and her unapologetic presence. And if Elon Musk happened to see that footage, it likely stood as a painful reminder that despite his attempts to control the narrative, Vivian was thriving without his approval or influence. Over the past few years, Elon Musk has become increasingly vocal about his political and social stances, often aligning with ideologies that are seen by many as anti-progressive. His endorsement of conservative views, including his vocal support of Donald Trump and opposition to transgender rights, particularly gender-affirming care for minors, has placed him at the center of heated national debates. But nowhere has his rhetoric felt more personal than in his public commentary on his own child. When he took to X, formerly Twitter, to write that the woke mind virus killed my son, it sent shockwaves not just through the LGBTQ+ community, but among those who once looked to Musk as a pioneer and innovator. That comment, repeated later, in a Daily Wire interview, wasn't just a political opinion, it was a painful dismissal of his child's identity. For Vivian, who came out as a transgender woman and legally changed her name to sever ties with her father, these remarks were more than just words. They were indicative of a long-standing pattern of emotional distance, rejection, and invalidation. And she did not remain silent. In what many saw as a powerful moment of reckoning, Vivian fired back publicly. She didn't mince words, calling out Elon for being an absentee father and accusing him of berating her for embracing her queer identity. Her statements weren't just brave, they were necessary. They painted a picture of a young woman who had spent her life trying to carve out space in a world and a family that tried to erase her. Vivian's story is more than a family dispute aired in public. It's a microcosm of what so many transgender youth face in today's world: alienation, invalidation, and the fight for autonomy. But unlike many, Vivian had the platform to speak her truth, and she used it fearlessly. While her father continues to make headlines for his business ventures and polarizing commentary, Vivian is making a name for herself through resilience, expression, and authenticity. She may not have a seat at her father's dinner table, but she has a place in a broader community that celebrates her for who she is. The symbolism in Vivian's recent public appearances cannot be overstated. At the drag event in NYC, surrounded by performers, allies, and supporters of LGBTQ+ rights, she looked free, not just free from the physical proximity of her father, but free from his expectations, his criticisms, and the ideological prison he seemed to wish to impose. In that crowd, she wasn't an extension of a tech mogul. She was herself, bold, expressive, and unmistakably alive. She laughed, danced, posed for selfies, and connected with people who understood the importance of being seen and accepted. This public rebirth of sorts has sparked conversations across social media platforms. Supporters rallied behind her, praising her bravery and the joy she radiated. LGBTQ+ youth and their allies pointed to Vivian as an example of thriving in adversity. Some noted the irony. While Elon Musk seeks to shape the future through technology, his own daughter is helping to shape it through social consciousness and representation. It's a stark contrast that has not gone unnoticed. It's also worth noting that Vivian's transformation and public confidence did not happen overnight. Her journey, like that of many transgender individuals, has likely been filled with moments of doubt, fear, and pain. To arrive at a place where she can publicly celebrate herself takes immense inner strength. Her decision to distance herself, legally and emotionally, from Elon wasn't a rash move. It was a deeply considered act of self-preservation and empowerment. And in a world where transgender youth often face heightened risks of depression, discrimination, and violence, her survival and her joy are acts of revolution. Elon Musk may continue to make dismissive remarks about his daughter. He may cling to his beliefs and double down in interviews. But what he can no longer do is silence her. Vivian has made it clear that she is not a victim of her father's ideology. Instead, she is an independent force, unshaken by the weight of her last name. Her life now is a reclamation of identity, a vibrant refusal to shrink for the comfort of others, even if that other is her own father. In many ways, Vivian and Elon reflect a generational and ideological divide. One believes in rigid structures, traditional values, and the control of narratives. The other believes in fluidity, freedom, and the power of lived experience. Where Elon sees data and disruption, Vivian sees emotion and humanity. And while he may be building rockets and artificial intelligence, she is helping redefine what it means to live truthfully in a society still learning to accept difference. Those who watched Vivian dance that night at Gitano weren't just seeing a young woman enjoying a party. They were witnessing a declaration of life, unfiltered, unapologetic, and radiant. It was a moment that transcended headlines and tabloid gossip. It was the culmination of pain turned into power, of rejection turned into rebirth. Vivian's journey is ongoing, but what she has already achieved is monumental. She has broken free from the shadow of a father whose fame and fortune might have silenced others. She has found her people, her community, her voice. She has shown that even when your roots are tangled in controversy, your branches can still reach for the sky. Vivian Wilson isn't just surviving, she's thriving. And the world is finally taking notice. Clearly, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree when it comes to speaking out. But make no mistake, Vivian and Elon are worlds apart. While one uses their platform to perpetuate division, the other uses it to foster acceptance. While one seeks control, the other seeks liberation. And while one may continue to speak from a pedestal of power, the other dances, freely and fiercely, among the people who truly matter. In time, perhaps Vivian's story will inspire others to reject the labels placed upon them and to embrace their own truths, no matter how inconvenient it may be for those in power. In time, her name might become synonymous not with scandal or family drama, but with resilience, authenticity, and the right to be unapologetically oneself. And in a world that often seeks to define individuals by who their parents are or the legacy they inherit, Vivian is writing a new narrative, one rooted not in lineage but in liberation. She's not trying to change her father. She's focused on being herself. That, in itself, is the most powerful rebellion of all.